Hello, hello. It's a mic. I don't like mics, frankly. I shout a lot anyway. You know, reach out to everybody. There are so many students, they cannot put my phones on silent. Yeah.
Hi, few people can come here. Backside.
Okay, so this is your school, right?
Fashion school.
Fashion school,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The event that was done by the sustainability event was done by us. Remember you came?
Yeah. Of course, I saw a lot of coverage.
So these are the kids who work towards all that.
Wow. But there was a girl whose work I really liked. Actually, it was not sustainable. It was in plastic.
Okay.
And
Plastic
the,
she was from Pearl. I think it was there for the competition.
it was very, very avant-garde and well made.
I think she got the award also.
She did, huh?
Yeah.
She deserved it.
No, she is because it was not sustainable.
Okay.
That's
It
why
was
she-
definitely because plastic is.
It was against
yeah.
that topic. That's why.
So do I have any? You should actually tell me what to say because I didn't come prepared.
You just have to share your experience.
Okay, so give me some idea. These are students who know pattern making, draping, everything.
This is a combination of students. We have students
Okay.
from the ATM, that's the UG batch,
Yeah.
that does a bit of pattern making, does a bit of designing. We have the FLD students here also, who actually are the FD, the budding fashion designers.
Okay.
We have some manufacturing students here and some students from the MBA. So they all have an understanding of the construction of a garment. Of
Okay.
draping, etc.
But you know, I mean, I'm sorry. If you, I think what would be nice is interrupt me if you want to ask me something. It would give me a point to go to, because the real idea for them to have invited me over here was that I say something at this moment which helps you in your lives for the future. Sometimes some things can trigger. Now, I'm not saying I'm inspirational in any which way. But yeah, I have been in this trade since I was a 19-year-old myself and been about many years. I've done more than 2 decades. At that point, we didn't have organized retail. We didn't even have organized fashion schools. There was a very disorganized system to learn fashion. But we learned on the job. I also did all these FITs and other courses, which is pattern making, draping. What I've understood is that if you're not good at certain things, stick to what is your strength. It's better to be having a USP to survive in fashion, because it's a very crowded field right now. It's a very saturated market. The areas which have a requirement is where you can focus. So if you, a lot of times we have these illusions about ourselves where our training and our skill set might be weak. So when you hit the market with either as assistants or as fashion designers yourself, you may find yourself against the deadlock, losing money, bankrupt, and all other disasters may fall on you. But however, amongst you can also be a guy who can get quick success or teach all the existing people in the world a big lesson like we just got from Sabyasachi, who clearly showed the fact that he, as a young guy, could go ahead and beat the entire market by creating his own systems. And today he's a very copied designer, even by his other, patrons. So, I mean, amongst us can be one of those too. So there is a very big requirement in the industry for technical knowledge at the moment. If students can pick up the learning process more, I always get most of you students, whether you're from NIFT, Pearl, or even say your college, is we have a profession of a guy called a folder. I mean, if you go to my husband's export factory or any other export factory, you will see on any packing floor where the clothes are finished, quality control checked, and packed. That is a separate department of packing. There is a profession of a man who may be feeding a family of 20. His job is to fold. So folding comes in measurements. It's 16 by 18, 18, 24. Now, one of the things is none of you know how to fold. So when you don't know how to fold, second, you don't know how to hang. So learn first the basics. Go back home, hang your clothes yourselves, fold them, and flip fold so you get the hang of it. It helps in clothes. It helps in display, visual merchandising, also in creating the clothes. A lot of times, because you may make clothes which are unpractical, unwearable, and from a perspective of a school and college may work, but in reality they'll not sell from these points. The other thing I think designers will need from you guys is, even if your college may not be like the best, say a NIFT is assumed to be the best for pattern making, providing you guys the skills of draping, pick up on other areas, measurements. None of the NIFT kids know how to measure garments. They don't know how to measure flat garments. There's a way to measure hang and measure. There's a way to measure flat. This is what the industry really needs. Then digital printing. It's a very big requirement. So how to create prints on the computers, how to draw on CAD, pattern make, and then essential knowledge of color and feel. These are the basics of the trade, which get you a long way. And my suggestions would be to make them uh, go into the field more. Simple things is better. I would advise you guys for ready to wear right now, and to stick as backup to the export market, because that is going to stay. That needs people. That will always need more than merchandiser. It will need you as designers, a designer to infer the designs of the teams they work from, whether by sketch or by that. I mean, these are special things I tell all the kids. In the first 6 months, I give me an intern. All I make them do is fold, learn to do the basics, dye. Maybe a lot of classes don't teach you that in India, don't even touch dyeing black. You'll never get it right. Buy the blacks. Okay, mill dye is different. But when you don't, you have these small chunni dyers who do your dyeing. If you can learn dyeing yourself, it's a good thing, because then you can train your dyer. So ask me what you want. I mean, there is any questions related to the field. If it's technical knowledge, your teachers should help me out. They can.
Queries, guys?
Any queries?
Rina, why don't you first tell them what is sustainability?
There is a girl. Sorry, there.
What you thought is really important. One of the first steps to know the industry.
Yeah.
Not the industry first, the basics, and then the industry. And
Yeah.
then your market, right? There are many times when we suppose if I don't we don't have a big hand or big say to say, okay, I want to do this and I'm really good. In that time, suppose if I want to do my business in India, but I cannot. I have to move out to India or the movement of the family or the shipping or the husband. And then I want to do it there in a country where the production is not being done. Obviously, I feel proud that I'm from India. We are much richer in a lot of aspects. We can produce things, whatever, whichever way, right? But I really don't know how to approach the customer there. I can have avail the information of the market and the product they look forward to, or they are missing, or they really want to appreciate. What kind of a difficulty, or what kind of a limitation are they face there? To know more about the international level of competition on a smaller scale base business.
So everything boils down to perseverance and your own self, actually. So, I mean, I remember once years ago, God, I don't remember, 15, 20 years ago, and I just jumped into a cab, and then this some person shouted from the back. I was in Paris, and those days Air France was the only flight from Delhi. Now, of course, there's so many options, and it would land up there at 6 a.m. Oh, and then 7 a.m. you're trying to get a cab. It's very hard to get into the rush hour. And this guy says, "Can I share the taxi with you?" Because there was a queue and we couldn't get a cab. I was raining or whatever. So I said, "Sure." And I looked around. To my surprise, was one of the guys like you are students today. At some point, either he was in college with me or behind or somewhere. I saw him in the corridors for years. And that was my familiarity with him. So I said, "Sure, what do you do?" So he is the answer to your question. he became the biggest supplier after Adarsh Gill, not knowing the market, having no contacts whatsoever, purely by his determination. He went door to door. Even if they kicked him out, he sat. When they told him, I don't have time, he still waited on them till they finally saw him. For 7 years, he went day after day to their factories till he became one of the biggest suppliers, giving them embroideries. So it's really based on your own research and your determination to not give up. And once you do get the business, you need to provide yourselves with the knowledge of making garments, then you're sourcing. So it's all that to get the right product across to them.
Any suggestion or guidance you would like to give us, all of us, to pay attention to, of course, quality, of course, your design, of course, the service. But market research is something which I don't know how to focus. You can Google a lot. You can even go
No, no.
to the US,
Yeah.
ministry to check area you are trying to build in your boutique. Like what kind of pay scale you need. All these information you can get. I still think that market research, I don't know how to do. If I should talk to people a lot for living there.
You need something which makes you unique in a very saturated market, which is why you need the college to provide you a direction which will show your own strengths. So it's no point, I've seen the cloners go nowhere. They go very well for 10 years maximum. Post that, they collapse. So if you're going to survive long term, you will need an identity of your own. So if you're no good at a design, don't push it. Go for the other skills you can acquire. If you're great at manufacturing, tailoring, it's the biggest strength to own. Because then you can teach 100. There is so many categories in fashion. It isn't just about clothes. There's manufacturing will always be required, whether it's interiors, whether it's cushions, accessories. There's many fields. But yeah, go back to basics is what I tell myself when I also find myself stagnating, coming on deadlocks. Okay, there's a scene of improvement where you're not seeing the writing on the wall. So you go back to your basics, you go back to where you began. And when you're young, you have the energy, you have ideas, which you will over a point stagnate with. So it's good to be at this point of your life. Just what you don't like to do, the boring and the dreary, is very important. Focus on those, I think. Yeah, great.
Ma'am, I need to ask a question like we designers or the designing field deals with the tailor community,
Yeah,
labor party.
yeah,
And as we have already heard that this party is really difficult to handle.
yeah,
They have a different mindset.
yeah,
So I want to ask, when you reach a certain level,
yeah.
when you like if I talk about you, you have already established your brand. When you reach a certain level, does that labor party still causes a problem at that level also, or the problems get reduced at that point? Because you
No,
have
so
already-
that's if you are very skilled, if you are strong in your knowledge of their knowledge, they will be able to work with you. If not, you come in their way. So they are showing to express that the friction comes in them. After all, there is many categories of tailoring. No, you have first a cutter, you'll have an idea, a design. So by merely looking at a book, you're not creating a design. So if you have to be able to create your own, you should be picking up your own skills very strong. Either hire a tailor to teach you how to tailoring. He'll give you such a freedom to design, frankly. You can make things which are truly your own. Um, they're fine tailors. It's just that you need to be able to give them clear communication. You need to be able to give them explanations by way of their own understanding. They can turn a bit into mocksters if they feel your knowledge is lower than theirs. But however, they're okay with knowledge. I've worked all my life. I've been in the non-electricity phases of Delhi pre-show. We've actually been in halls of 100 workers alone sometimes. midnight onwards in the early enthusiastic days. But you're safe. It's fine.
One more question, ma'am. Your label in abroad, does it hold different collection that you have in India, or the collection is similar?
So there's nothing about being abroad. So it's a place on earth. You can be here, or you can go there, and you decide to do the same thing here or there. So it's how it is. It's just if you're going to send the goods out of the country, it's called export, and that's about it. So I've shown at London Fashion Week, I've shown in New York, everywhere on earth. It's no different. It's just that you decide to do a show here, you can do a show there. You want to sell your clothes here, you can sell them. Abroad is just another place. Like we have land under our feet, there's land there. It depends. There are I don't know how many countries on earth, 200 plus.
I think I'll reframe her question. I think what she meant to say is we teach them a term called global.
Okay.
Think global, act local.
Okay.
So are you carrying the global to, are you going country wise? Is your collection a basic collection? Are you modifying your collection to a country? Keeping in mind that every culture has a different color, preference, various silhouettes, weather is different. Or are you going with the basic line and selling the same collection in different? Am I right? Is that what you asked? That's what
Okay.
I'm trying to ask.
So I do for myself 2 shows. I do what I call then my international collection, which we show at the was earlier Wills, now it's Amazon. So at the fashion weeks. So that's called ready to wear collection, and that's essentially an international Western line under 10,000 rupees. Who buys it is dependent on the whether I fit in for the buyer, whether it's Middle East, whether it's America, Japan, France, Italy, and I can even showcase it in any fashion week I participate in Europe or any fair I want to do. And then I do what I daily be producing bespoke kind of clothing for our boutique in then I also do is Couture Week, which is a season where I show the Indian wedding collection in July. So 3 shows a year at least, yeah.
So it's always the bespoke clothing and the couture is the Indian wedding is not going abroad.
Yeah.
The other 2 shows that are being done by Amazon.
But today you can actually bridge it. It's not
Yeah.
so, it's very easy to bridge the two today because the fashion is so similar and it's very overlapping, and it's even the Indian, those kurtas, the kaftans, the scarves. People a lot of times like it. Like recently, one of our buyers has taken one of my couture skirts as one of their own Christmas collections as a skirt. So it's relevant. I mean, how they put it in their stories, how you fit in. Like, and to have standalone boutiques, you can do that too, but it's huge investments.
How much of forecast do you come?
Completely, you have to follow forecast trends for international seasons, which you will do for spring and fall. Now we've done 2015, so there's this new color I think, which will. My personal thing is that it's going to come up as the big player. Is that orangey rust? Because I've done it before in the 90s. It was very big then. So I really dug out my own old collections, some pieces, and we use them to restructure this as our own. Because otherwise, it really, if you borrow, you don't get that USP, and you invariably never get the business on it.
Would you like to tell our students something about the change of the Indian society wise? The customer has changed in India. In 90s, the way you were selling, what you were selling, to today, what you're selling, and the difference in how should they capture that and understand your customer a bit.
I think to customer is important, very important, because it's what people want. And today the customer is very savvy, whether he lives in a village. And I mean, to value your Indian client is very important, I think. A lot of us have this obsession of going abroad. And trust me, I've done damn lot of shows abroad. It is so much harder than doing them at home. It is at least 10 times harder. I mean, the only place I've enjoyed is in Latin America, where a single woman is like an army of tailors. I mean, they are so skilled. They are exceptional. Other than that, it is so hard to do shows abroad. I've done work in Italy, I've done in Mauritius, I've done everywhere. I mean, even British seamstresses I've had, they're wonderful. But it is much harder than doing work in India. We lucky, and it is such a big country with so much home buying that one doesn't even need to go out and die outside, frankly. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't do well abroad. In fact, most of my good workings of profits in the past few years have been by selling to other countries. But I dread going for exhibitions abroad. I admire my colleagues who, I mean, it's like being in suitcases 3 times your weight and hanging, ironing, steaming, and there's hordes of work and the speed with which you have to work because that's your counterpart there. He isn't used to staff at home. He isn't used to your mollycoddling. He's used to doing all that efficient work alone. And you have to be next to him. And you're clumsy. You're never going to survive next to them. So they are excellent. So when I was showing in London Fashion Week, next to me were the students like you guys. They had their booth of, I don't know, one of the knitwear schools in Birmingham. They should have seen the skill set. I mean, one of the girls' lines was picked up by Browns. That's why, because they were just sitting there sewing. They were doing it all themselves. There's no tailor there. They do it themselves. That is who this Christopher Kane is. Christopher Kane and his sister, Tammy, they made their first line themselves till they became so big. And that with Harvey Nichols and all coming up, they could afford all the production teams. But everybody does it themselves. So you're going to bring your own suitcase up, you're going to open it yourself, you're going to hang it, iron it, tag it. You are the buyer, you're the donkey who cleans your stall. So, and shut it by the evening. So it's much harder abroad. It's so much easier here. I mean, of course, I've been very fortunate to be gone on very large projects over the time where I could afford assistants and take them along. But if you, even then, you have to work much harder. This is the best place to be in.
India is not doing good in
It's doing very well in exports.
like most of the Indian brands they're going abroad to get their like they're importing their final garments. By India as India we can get export over here only. Like, we have the raw materials, but we are lacking in
Export of clothes, India is very big. We're number 2 to China in world.
but if in ready-made India is not
Ready-made. I myself, not alone, but as a husband, with my husband, they're an old factory. We are a 100% export factory. We're not alone. There are 10,000 exporters just here in Gurgaon. They're employing, I don't know how many men per factory. We produce 300 pieces per floor.
Actually,
Per
questions
day.
are something different. That why can't we, as an Indian brand, export there?
By
If
export
we are
also, we're doing decent now in India.
less,
Yeah.
very less. Otherwise, we are
Whatever own
doing it, we are
brand
just
we
making for
want
other
them to
brands.
market over there as our own brand, not under somebody.
See, your
Basically,
product
brand
needs to
India.
be super fantastic.
Brand India, basically.
It's happening. It's slow, but it's happening. You get a decent buying at our fashion weeks now. We're getting a lot of international buyers.
That
They
is
take
what
our
we
product,
want.
the Indian designer as a brand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Some-
as an
some
exporter.
brand India,
Yeah, under their own brand, they, why we can't sell it over.
You can. You participate in the fashion weeks all over the world. There's a very a good case study for you to see. He's a designer called Ashish. He's #1 UK designer. He's an Indian guy from one of the colleges here. And I mean, so you pass Selfridges. Sometimes the show window is only him. It's a pretty big deal. And he is 100% international brand, but he is completely made in India. And he himself is an Indian guy, but he doesn't showcase here. He showcases as a UK designer. So you can go anywhere and show yourselves and export the amount you want. Of course you can.
Any particular advantage Ashish gets by doing that, by not showing at home and showing there only?
He wishes to. It's his own desire. It's a creative expression. You go where you want to go.
Okay.
There is no stopping in this. You need to qualify, of course, with their strict vetting. So your design has to be the fighter. And once you do that, you can showcase, frankly, in Sao Paulo and be a Brazilian designer. There are no restrictions in it.
You know, what are the limitations you feel
Yeah.
are there that we are unable to, reach that level, the international level that you're referring? Of course,
Yeah.
scale based.
But like we are good in international, I think. Look, you're talking of international, which seems to be in everybody's mind. of what is called a world lobby of fashion. These are very highly owned, commercialized brands. I mean, I myself have met John Galliano over dinner and had a laugh with him. He has himself told me how he didn't have money to buy water one day till he got picked up from his finale collection, which also I think the buyer once told me of either Liberties or Browns. The boy didn't have money to stitch his own collection or buy thread. They helped him finish it. And from there, he went on to head the house of Dior. And he truly, in my opinion, is one of the greatest designers. Whatever happened to him later was a different story. But that's success. It has its side effects. I mean, it's how you get picked up. So there is a world fashion. It's an international bank. Is a guy called Bernard Arnault. He's owner of 50% or 60% of international fashion. Then you have the Francois Horry. He is the owner of YSL and all. They are holding traditional school houses of fashion. They hire designers to replace the old ones. There's constant movement in them. That doesn't mean the designer is international. These are old houses of fashion. They're just being revived and capitulated by these. There's a Prada family. They own quite a bit of the world fashion. They're the Fendi sisters. And in America, there are 2, 3 groups. They own the world fashion. Now, yes, of course, you can be one of them who goes and works for them. I could too be. We've had, I think, Ritu Berry, Manish Arora. They've had their stints going there as designers, working for them for certain periods. So it's not so hard. It happened to one of us. Yes, you can be an owner of those brands if you put up that kind of capital. Maybe you can buy a stake in Bernard Arnault's capital. It's called El Capital. I don't know what its worth is, but he's one of the largest richest men on earth now, in the top 10. So if you can beat his money, you can go buy him and you'll own the world fashion yourself. You can turn the names around then. It's like Sahara owns Plaza Athene and Grosvenor House, so he can call it Subrata if he wants to.
Anybody else?
Very nice.
Can you tell me something about organic fabrics, how India works on it? And
I
why
don't
it's
know. I mean,
happening?
I'm myself very confused on this world of organic. Much as I like organic, I do believe India, there is no such thing as organic. Trust me. Most of the things we're wearing right now, even if I'm wearing 100% cotton, I'm sure at some point it's used a dye. If it's a vegetable dye also, for me to sustain it, for me to make a fixer, which will hold the color that is going to run, is a chemical. So I really think at some level there is no such thing. Either we eat or we have, which can be pure 100% organic. Unless the earth herself has been cleaned up and we start from that stage. I do work with shop for change. They're pretty good. But they're not 100% organic because cotton itself, when processed, is using a chemical to get white. Otherwise, it's eaten up or the insect eats it up. So I personally think you can be 60-70% organic. There is no 100% organic. I mean, I'm sure there are lobbies which will eat me up alive for speaking this out, but it's not the truth.
Yeah, selling at a very high price.
Yeah, I know. I buy myself from charities and all. I like to support it because at least they're trying. It's good because otherwise your generation too will suffer. They'll either be born with cancers or other things, rashes. I get a lot of rash also from pancreas and stuff.
Yes, sure.
Now I would like to talk about your Amazon Fashion Week collection, like the one with the great.
So I showed 2 seasons this year. I did what is one a ready to wear, which is fall winter 2015, which we would call international. Because once the buyers confirm their orders to me, of course, I've had short lists right now. They will go everywhere from America to Japan to maybe Italy to Moscow to some parts of Middle East. And maybe if I get energy, I will produce some pieces for my own retail. That is what was the international line. And yeah, I mean, if I convert them into Asian versions, once my prints are released, I can use them even into Amazon's own online shop. And then I did is what is called the grand finale, which was India's top 25 designers. We were told to work on orange, pink, and red. So I used Fulkari, and I sent it to Umeed, a charity in Punjab, where the heroin drug addicts, widows, they sit and do that. It's a rehabilitation group. I work with them. They do a lot of crochet and that. So I worked with them. They did my show clothes. It was quite nice. They got it out with all that energy, stress, shouting, where are the pieces, couriers, chase, and all that. We managed. So that's what Fashion Week was. It was a slower Fashion Week this year. But I think they're having a rediscussion on how to market it to a point where we are all happier. I mean, basically, there were logistic disadvantages this time more than the last season. So where will you all go? I mean, give me that after this. Where is your wish to go?
Sorry.
I want to travel the world. I want to be a blogger. I'm doing it myself.
But you want to study fashion abroad further?
Uh,
Just to travel, you want to go?
yeah, and probably to learn. Once you're traveling, there's a lot of learning happening otherwise. Sitting in an institute and enrolling in a course is often a very limited range. If I get to attend a lot of fashion weeks and I get a very hands-on experience like that, like you travel a lot, you attend all these shows, you play a lot of your garments in these shows, and there's so much of stuff happening. Even you as a designer who's so seasoned has learned so much. So I guess for me that is going to be my
So how will you see the shows, but?
that I have to work upon. That is what I want.
She's a fashion communication student, so she's
Okay,
actually looking at
Yeah.
journalism.
fashion journalism. So Vogue might have, Vogue is a very big, Condé Nast group is very good.
It's interesting you wanting to go there, but you have to find a method to enter those shows, right?
Once I'm a good big time blogger, I have to plan.
Oh, so to be a blogger, that's good. It's an opportunity there. Yeah,
Some
of
way,
course.
some pathway she's
Yeah.
making for
And
herself.
if it asks for the degree of blogger study, then I'm just going to ask, like, what is the difference between Indian institutes, like even say NIM, Pearl, IM or any other institute, and how different between like the institutes abroad, like the parts and the SIT or something, Martin. Like, what do they have? Like, what is the difference? Like, how their students are different from
I would
ours?
think that you guys would be very perfect for what is called the industry requirement. I would think you should strengthen that part, and which means the export factories, which is they have the budgets to pay you, and they need people who will continue. Most of you quit in the first 3 months, feeling a sense of, kind of, what the hell is this? This is not what we signed up for. But it's not that. It's what, I mean, there is, of course, especially if you go abroad, that you have to attune yourself to serious immunity towards insult. If you're ready for that, go for that too. You might be safer here. Huh? And there's very strict, tough environment. And it's very hard. Anyway, it's not enough for you to be deterred, of course. There's still those who survive all the time and carry on to do the same what their predecessors did. But I mean, I'm a bit done with this abroad story, but yeah, I mean, of course, it is very nice. The best institutes are St. Martin's in London. I think there's a good school in France, which is fantastic. In New York, FIT, some courses are very good. I myself have done FIT. And I think there are good professors there too. But I still think St. Martin's is the big school. You have the best students out of there, guys who could cut like wizards. They were there, but you have your strength for the industry, which is the export industry, and they need the backup. You should just stick it out, learn from the guys. You will be so shocked that all of you combined will know way less than an average woman sitting there on a salary of 6,500. You will be marveling at her speed. You will not know whatever you can all combine here and call your knowledge. She, with her fingers, knows much more. These are the workers right next door to all of us. They are so skilled. They work, they are the backbone of whatever you're wearing right now. It all comes from their hands. And there are many of them, numberless, faceless, so many. They still are much better than any of us, me included. They're so good. So those are the guys who will carry on to teach you further in your life. They can be your folders, cutters, thread cutters, checkers, pattern masters, the production guys, line guys. It's incredible what you have in the market, what the uneducated know. So what you have is what you will put it together for them in form. You will basically take their skill and convey to the buyer in a language he infers. But actually, you will be the middleman for them, and that is what is really needed.
So what are the skills you're referring to?
Basically, I mean, I worked with a lot of students. Some of my kids have become so big, they've gone on. I mean, I seem to have a thing where some of the interns who lasted me, because I'm obviously not the calmest when I have to deal with your, at that speed with your inferences of my expectations. I mean, they all seem to win some kind of awards and they go to those colleges. The ones who last me have done stints recently. I had a guy called Shantanu. He was taken by a very good school in Paris where they took him on scholarship. The last girl who was assisting me, God, I forgot her name. She even wrote me poems with an A. She's with an A. She's gone to Nottingham from the college as the topper. She won everywhere. So they got picked up, but basically they survived us. They lasted all that hellish things we must have put them through. They did all their tasks. They didn't question. They were able to deliver. 6 months later, they were able to score. I'm not saying I'm a genius, but they were the geniuses who used us to better themselves. And then on, they will develop that hand which has a Western thought process better. When you're in India, you won't get it that much.
So we're referring to perseverance.
Yeah, survival. Okay, yesterday I was on a train to Chandni Chowk. At 3:30, we went, me and I took one of the guys. I said, who's going to be my donkey? We took the donkey because they were going to pick up the fabric. And there we went, in through there, and we're out by 7:30. You've got to dodge all that. So the tailor, forget, you're going to have a lot of cheapsters who are going to be a little bit of a ballet dancer. Very quick.
What problems did you face while opening your own label?
You have problems every second of your life. You have no clue about the problems you will face. There is no piece, however much you know, which will not give you a new idea or a new problem. There is no garment, there is no perfect story, there is no perfect show. So this is a world of problems, clothes, and it's manufacturing. So only the very skilled will survive. So the designer, in fact, is the entrepreneur. So if you want to be both, I think take it on only if you're truly ready. Otherwise, go, shoot your troubles on others' shoulders. It's much better to survive. And you have food on your table.
Can you talk something about IPR in design? Means how do you get it done? And
Well, I
how much
invented
is
this
it
churidar you seem to be all wearing now. Even though you get it on ladies, I see, and in Madangiri and all, I see it because my maid gets it. Now, this was when I was getting married, December 1990. I myself was getting married, and I was buying all these churidars, and they were bigger than me. So if you put up a churidar, they were higher than me, and then this way. So I couldn't get over this whole, I mean, I must have been a very young girl, so desperate to be trendy, that I was making cat suits then. So I said, and I used to smuggle my churidar fabric from England, from Aldgate East, frankly. Because they had to smuggle everything, from deodorants and shoes to everything. You couldn't. In those days, it was impossible to even go abroad. Some of you must have been born in 1990. Huh? Or most of you, if you're 15, no.
No.
But that time when I did that, we used to smuggle them. I started making those kurtas. I learned how to do the needlework. I remember Tarun ringing me to ask me, how do you embroider on stretch? I told him how I did it. And then I took it on to the kurtas because the 60s kurtas were my inspiration. And I said, oh, I can make it in stretch. I don't want to make 100 darts and slings. And I can move my legs. And I grew the churidar. So that's all I did. But it was my accidental requirement. So I had a need. I made my churidar. And from there, I remember once in Hoskas village, probably whenever it came around, the whole team of Chanel was there. So we're looking for Punjabis. And then many years later, I saw it in Karl Lagerfeld's stockings. So he has no clue who I am, but it went on his table. And somewhere they thought it's good enough. Let's pull the length longer. That's all I did, actually.
But then how do you ensure that your designs don't get...
So I tried to patent it then. And then it was very hard, the IPR laws. I'm talking probably 98 to 2004, I tried to patent it. I used my friend Manali Bhandare to help me. In Calcutta, they said there's a patent office where you patent them. And then they told me after 5 years, even Edison's bulb is free for all. So I just left it. What can you patent? Your own friends ring you and say, now we're going to do it. So you just say, okay, well, I'm not going to say, so like churidar sleeve koi nahi bana sakta hai. You know, so you just, over time, everybody's influences work within each other. You can't change it. Patenting is a nightmare. It's impossible. Unless it's a design, you have a very big order, then you go through it. Or you want to sue your entire family and your friends, go ahead.
Live alone in the jungle.
Live alone after that, unhappy.
Now, what qualification I student need to have to intern with the brand?
You need to survive. You will need to be skillful on roads. You will need to run with a bag. If I tell you, go now to this street where there have been murders, we've just had the Turkman gate, we go there. Get a sequin made this size and just return with it. We don't like no's. Yes is the good one. Anyone who does yes. Jugaad is very good with us. The survivor will last. Yeah, you need survival skills. The girls will say, oh, my hair's going to go back. I'll sweat it out and die. It's 6 o'clock. It's riots. Bus nahi chal raha. Today there's a taxi strike. Forget it. Don't even come in this way. Go in a magazine world is better for that. TV is good. Pretty girls should anyway go there. I did have one student called Onima. I told her to go for TV because she was so pretty. She did try, but she had speech issues, I think. I don't know where she is now. But she did 6 months with us, and 6 months full salary. She was so skilled. She managed with a full team of tailors and masters one complete design. That means she costed me 1 lakh was her salary. And on top of it, all those tailors she engaged for nothing, rip part, nothing, right? So that uncertainty costed me a lot for the design. No takers in the end. So your experiments are a huge cost to your employer for the first 6 months.
Any more queries, guys? Are you satisfied with?
Myntra does a lot of young designers. You should go with them. I was a part of Myntra's, I'm panelist with them also. I don't know what I do, but whenever they have these students jury, I go for them. I'm on contract with them, so I do that.
The day before yesterday, they were in news because they stopped on the website.
Yeah, but they recently did in Bangalore, where they called us at a beautiful event. It was with all students who they subsidized, and then they give you a grant of 7 lakhs. They will set up a studio for you. They will give you all your requirements, and they will sell your clothes online. And that was, and we were the jury for that. We shortlisted a lot of students. It was excellent. Some really very incredible work.
So you're all about cotton?
All about cotton also I do sustainable cotton because I do shop for chain. Then I'm with Cotton Council International. They're USA based, but I've stayed in touch with them over the years. Yeah, they also subsidize and give grants to students. Yeah.
Okay, for marketing your brand means you hire special marketing people or you do it yourself.
So today, if the students are good in blogs and all this Pinterest and all that, you don't need a person. Why would you waste money? You can do it yourself. You yourself can model your own clothes. You can cut your own clothes. You can sew them yourself. You can market it yourself. Why the hell will you add on costs to yourself? You want to go out in the market.
No, but aren't you short of time? Then you're doing the marketing, and then you have to create new designs. And
Well,
then
you
you
have
do
PR
this and
people
that.
now. They're expensive, so you could
So
use
you are
them.
hiring PR agencies.
I don't hire them. I can't. If I put one on my phone right now, I'll have 5 journalists have called me by now. And too much of media attention always gets you the side effects, which is I am the IFCO ka general manager, I am this inspector. They just keep on phoning you. So it's better to be low key and low profile and not have yourself constantly entertaining some bored freak.
So we wanted to ask you on this social media.
Yeah.
It is coming up in a big way.
Yes.
So how the designers are marketing their stuff on social media nowadays? How they are using it?
So they're the younger brands from Anand Bhushan and this Rimzim Dadu. I buy a lot of their stuff sometimes. Not a lot. I mean, like 1 or 2 pieces for myself. And there's hordes of them. They're so savvy on the net. They do it themselves, I think. Even Gaurav Gupta, so brilliant in his presentations. He's very young, actually. I think he's still 30 something.
Because our students are doing a lot of things on digital media. And
Yeah. Digital is very good because there's so much. Because internationally, people are wanting to reduce costs since you are driven by the international platform. They don't want to waste money anymore on handwork, so they will limit it. The designer will limit his costs by doing digital experiments. So whether it's surface ornamentation, 3D design, everything is being done on a computer now. So they just issue out that to the factories in China and India, or even in England, whether it's knitwear also, because there's a huge boom in the knitwear world. Everything is being done digitally. It's one of the handicaps I have being old school, and I have to rely on all of you. So the digital is the biggest power right now.
our students are making scarves and all. They're
Exactly.
developing their own design.
You can probably import your own machines between laser cutting, rubberized. I don't know what all. Every year we have new developments coming up. Everything based on digital. Even the embroidery machines, which is a huge factory backups around here in this area. Also, you have a lot of Shifley factories. You have a lot of Angle factories, all done digitally. Design is completely digital. In fact, whoever is strong in that, it can survive, of course.
Anybody else?
Boys don't ask many questions, huh?
They're very shy now.
They're overshadowed by all the women.
How can we apply for internship under your brand?
I've got full house now, but what months are you guys?
For the month of June and July, ma'am, because some of us are really interested for internship.
So only thing is, only 2-3 of you guys should apply, not more, because I don't know how to handle you. I have a smaller studio, I work small. Then we distribute the bigger to our other factory. But if you want to go to the export factory, I can put you on to them. Because there already we have 4-5 students who are permanently working. I think they're Pearl or Neft, I don't know where they are from. They're old there in the scene, and they will put you on as their assistants. And that should also benefit you guys. I can do. Yeah, that's right here in Gurgaon, Udyog Vihar. So
By what name?
Spark. You can send them there. I'll put him on.
Yes.
I think let your teacher recommend me one or
Yeah.
two. That's easier for us because I get so many
Yeah,
student emails, we
industry
discard them.
relations.
Yeah.
We'll make our industry relations gentleman Sandeep.
Sandeep is there.
He will
Yeah.
get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And work
That's
on
it. Then
We will
the
send
students
them-
who want to go to the Gurgaon, it's much easier because they have so much. They'll keep them busy.
He'll get in touch with you
Yeah,
directly, and
yeah.
you can guide him. whichever
Yeah,
way.
sure.
And he will select the students and send them.
Yeah.
Because there are few students who want to work under the designer brand because they want to learn.
I know, but there is just no time, sadly, to train them. Like college is very patient. We expect them to come with some skill and to assist what is on the table. So when they're not able to infer it with speed, it gets, it's just hard for everyone. It's no win-win for anyone. Which is why the 4-year students from the construction departments are they're able to get it faster. One of my students, I must tell you guys, there was a guy called Veer. He's now in Jaipur, and recently I contacted him. He's quite he's doing okay, and he's bought himself a nice car and all that, and he cuts his patterns. He was so bad when he came to me that I said, "What am I going to do with this kid?" Because my brother had forced me to keep him. He's some relatives or friends, some relative. I sent him to my basement, which was filthy, and I told him, "You start hanging up the, we have these khakas, tracing paper." I said, "Just start sorting them out." And after that, I forgot about him. I was so busy. 20 days later, I saw from the corner of my eye that guy was coming to work every day, and he did the traces. He didn't give up. Then I started appreciating him because I realized what I thought was truly a dungeon, he had hung up. We still have his hung up patterns there. He made my artworks for. Then I moved him to Khaka, one of my dress, which I did 4,000 pieces for Anthropology USA. He made the final artwork, which was very complicated. He got it right. He was able to set what no Khaka guy in our factories could get. That same boy came up there. And then I would send him on errands. He'd walk barefoot, poor thing. The bus wasn't available. He had no conveyance. But he stuck it out with me through a very difficult phase of 6 months. So today I was not surprised when I went back to him after a few years. He can cut his own patterns now. He says, "I don't hire a master. It's so expensive. I cut all my clothes myself." And he's doing reasonably well in this B grade market where he supplies suits to other stores. He's bought himself a nice car. He has a baby. So I'm quite very happy he stuck it out. So he wasn't even skilled to begin with. But because he didn't give up, he didn't mind the shit work he got to do. And he kept doing it. He survived. And today he's pretty skilled on his own. He learned on the job. But it's a different method. He couldn't speak in English. He still doesn't. He looks like a model though. But yeah, he has done well.
Anybody else?
So none of these are required, is what I'm trying to say.
That would be one word for your brand. In one word, what would it be? What is brand?
I would call it survival, frankly, and struggle. It's nothing easy out there if you really want to do well in your business. So while it may look that the 5 minutes you see of our lives, maybe on a YouTube or something, and there's a lot of planning behind. So for the 16 girls we use in a ready-to-wear show, there is a good 160 people who went behind the scenes for a good 3 to 4 months to get it right. And still you may never think it's the best. You may have a journalist who may have another viewpoint. You are subject to complete assessment of your work.
So, any more questions? Hope you all must have learned a lot.
They learn day by day.
No, they have learned from your experience, what you have shared with them. So, all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I saw your collection at London Fashion.
Yeah.
When you launched the work collection.
Yeah, I've done so much work there. I was just writing on the city, and I was writing about once we did Bollywood promotion, and that year I had all these T-shirts and Selfridges with all the movie stars. I'm talking, I think, many years ago, and they sent their huge gala party in the whole of Selfridges, and Amitabh Bachchan had become the man of the year, beating Marlon Brando and all these kind of actors, because the amount of Indians voting for him really exceeded in number purely. And Martin Luther King he beat. And then there was me and 2-3 other designers who were part of that, not many. And there was Amitabh Bachchan, and that was all the British media wanted. only to talk to him. So whatever, he was important. He helped fashion that day. He managed to speak about it.
Ma'am, how much time will it take to stand a designer, like as compared to a person who is working in export house? Like my parents said, कि आप export house में काम करोगे तो वो better रहेगा as compared to designer. उसको stand होने में बहुत time लगेगा.
So, I mean, I don't know how skilled you are right now. I have no clue. So, if you have garments, send them to some jury. If you're selected, you're ready to go on the market. And you have the capital to put up for it or to find someone to invest in you, then go for it. You're ready.
But if the person is skilled, then how much time will it take for a person?
There's no time here. You send out your clothes, there are juries all over. Go to the shows you want to be in. Go to the various hundreds of fashion weeks around the earth now. Send out your clothes, and you're then probably ready to be a designer. But then you become your own investor also, till your clothes are sold or not sold.
There is a very big question now from the students how to generate, how a designer can generate a finance, from what are the sources. A new upcoming
Yeah.
designer can
It's hard now because there is no money left in this country, I think, frankly. Now, whatever is left, the government will take it. At the moment, there is a crisis on, I think, in the retail systems also. Everywhere it's a quieter world. There is a very tough year for all of us to cross. Because most of the rich are no more rich. It's the poor and the middle class who are growing. So if your product can go into that, for sure, go into the growing markets. Why go for the rich? They're already all of us. If you can make a garment which is savvy in the price bracket, which middle classes were going to need, yeah, you're ready to be in the market. There is no such big thing actually. It's you're wearing the clothes, frankly. What's the big deal? You stitch them, make them, sell them.
Any questions from that side?
Any questions?
Yes, any questions?
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very
for
much.
sharing it.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
good luck. Yeah, water will be good. We have to give in the evening also run away. Then like a more.